What's going on today, guys? Hey, we have got some new parts for the Duramax here, the 2004 LB7 that we are going to be putting in today, and I've got them in the box behind me, so we're going to unbox those real quick and show you guys what we're doing today. What I got are a few thermostats for the Duramax. It seems to be running just a tad cold to what I've read that they should run. So let me show you guys on the inside here without having to turn it on. Whenever it's pretty cold and I'm talking, you know, below 40 degrees, it only runs 1 or 2 ticks above the 160 mark. So it's somewhere 170-ish. And that's about as warm as it gets. I haven't had a chance to really run it in warmer weather, but from everything I'm reading from the factory, they run about 185, which is going to be all the way to the quarter mark there. You can see the bigger hash. Hopeful by installing these thermostats that this truck's going to run a little bit warmer, because it is on really cold days. It stays pretty cool in here. Of course, it's still blowing warm air from the vents, but it's just not hot. So I want to replace these, and luckily it's a pretty easy job, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that today. And a couple reasons why you might be having issues with a vehicle not warming up related to the thermostats is one or both of the thermostats may be sticking open, or the gasket that sits around the thermostat may be deteriorating. And who knows, for all I know, this truck could have some aftermarket thermostats in it that just run a little bit cooler. But I definitely want it to run a little bit warmer. And guys, if you're going to go ahead and tear your engine open like this, it's not a hard job. But I'd say go ahead and buy both thermostats and just do it once, do it right. So I'm going to leave some links down below to these exact thermostats. These are the AC Delco original thermostats. Highly recommend using original thermostats, because whenever you're talking about engines, whenever you're talking about thermostats, you don't want this thing to stick closed and your engine overheat and leave you on the side of the road where you really can't do anything. So I always go original whenever it comes to important stuff like this. Original, or something that you know is better than original. Okay, so first things first coming to mind here, let's think about safety first. First, you want to open the top of this. You preferably want to do this whenever your engine's cold or cooler, but you want to relieve the pressure off the cooling system. And we'll just set the cap right there. Then another thing I always like to do whenever I'm working under the hood of a vehicle is to just, it takes 2 seconds, guys. Go ahead and disconnect the negative battery cable. Just save yourself the trouble. So next thing we want to do is remove the serpentine belt, because we're going to have to move the compressor here. And what you want to do is find the tensioner right here, and where you want to put and there's a 1/2 inch drive here, so you got to break out the big guns. If you guys remove your own tires, I'm sure you've got one of these. This is just a cheapo Touring from Walmart, but we got to break out the big guns. I'd like to get a nicer one than this, but nonetheless, you just set it right in place like so. And I'm sure I'm gonna have to set the camera down to do this, guys, but I'm gonna set this in place and then just relieve the tension. You can see it starting to go down there, and then just get the compressor off. There we go. Came right off, and I'll just try to leave things laying in right there how they are. Next step is going to be to remove this electrical plug from the compressor, and I'm going to go ahead and remove this one too. The reason for doing this is to give you a little bit of slack to move this compressor up and out of the way. And this is just a flathead screwdriver I used to remove this, and then this back here. So the 2 plugs to the compressor. Now I'm going to hit the 4 bolts here to the compressor so we can actually move it up and out of the way. And I believe these are 15 mil. In theory, the compressor should just lift up and out of the way. Like so. Now we need to be able to get this radiator hose out of the way so we can get to the housing, which is right here. This is where your thermostats are, guys. What you're going to have to do is remove this bracket. And what's entailed in removing this bracket is removing these wiring harnesses, which is why I like to unplug things. So you simply just pull up on the clip and then pull it out. So then you would remove these two Torx head bolts to remove this plastic housing, and then right down in there is where your 12mm bolt would be. However, I am going to get lucky. It looks like the 12mm bolt's missing on that side to hold this down, so I've only got one I got to pull up here. But otherwise, you would just take out this bolt and this bolt, Torx head, T something, I'm not sure, and then pull this up, and then you'd be able to access that 12mm bolt to remove this radiator portion here. So we got her loosened up. Don't drop it. This guy's loose now. So that means we can come around here. This guy, this guy, this guy, and maybe this guy in the back here to pull up the housing. I don't think you need to remove any of this stuff here. Right here, some of my loom splitting here. I may need to electrical tape that up, but this is why I like working on my own stuff, so I can see what needs addressed. We definitely got some antifreeze draining out here. Whew, we had a lot of antifreeze come out actually. So I think it just drained that hose pretty much, but nonetheless, you're gonna see we got our thermostats in here. Pull them. Oh man, that guy's really, yeah, you can see he's got a little bit of tear in him and whatnot. So there's one. And the other one stayed in the back. Let's pull him out too. Otherwise, things look pretty clean in there. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of wear on this. I believe how much coolant we leaked. So, you can see both thermostats here, so I'm going to replace them. Alright, so putting your new thermostats in is pretty straightforward. The taller one, which you'll be able to see here, the taller one, or the warmer one, 85 degrees Celsius, so it looks like we are going with the same stats here, goes to the front, and just leave it horizontal. Find out. So taller one goes to the back, and these two holes go to the back of the engine. So we'll drop him in place, make sure it looks all clean under there. There we go. So once the thermostat's in place, we can start piecing things back together. We got it done. So now I'm just going to take my take this guy out. And what we definitely need to do now is put the batteries back on, and then we're going to have to fill this up with a little bit of coolant, most likely, because we did lose a little bit, as you can see under the truck here. So we definitely need some coolant in there. And that's another video. I'm going to leave something up here for you guys for a video I'll do on that. But you definitely want to put coolant back in, and you need to bleed the air out of the system. So we're going to show you how to add your coolant and bleed your system so you can get the air out of your system. So be sure to check that video out before you go anywhere or do anything. Hey guys, so after replacing the thermostats in the Duramax, it's been a few weeks since I've done that now, but just wanted to kind of keep an eye on the gauges, let you know where things should be running at. So this LB7, after replacing both thermostats, we are now running, and we actually just took it for a drive. And I mean, I've run this thing anywhere from 30 degrees all the way up to 70 degrees. You can see now we sit right at, let me turn that radio, we sit right at the mark between 160 and 210, sometimes a little above, and sometimes if you're pulling a hill or doing a good pull, and it'll get close up to 210, just right under about where a gas engine runs, but doesn't overheat. I mean, works good. Happy with replacing the thermostats on this thing. It seemed to have done the trick. So of course, replacing the thermostats, you guys just saw how to do that. Just make sure to bleed any air out of your system, because that will cause a little bit of issue with overheating if you don't. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe to this channel. We got lots more content like this. We're going to be doing lots of stuff with the Duramax here. And be sure to share this with your friends in case they need to know how to change out their thermostats. Alright guys, until next time, take care.